Papa Papa Pa. I thought that Million Dollar Baby would be a high-burning sports type like Rocky, but I didn't expect it to be a sad tearjerker. The earth-shattering reversal in the last half hour completely subverted the traditional routine and instantly raised the idea of the movie by several notches. Rocky is certainly good-looking, and Stallone led the sport-themed films of the following decades, old-fashioned but classic and useful, and audiences love to see the protagonist win. And Million Dollar Baby is also very good, but its good looks are not in the ring, but in Maggie's indomitable spirit of fighting against fate and her sincere feelings with Frankie. The former represents a more passionate film, while the latter is more realistic. Life is impermanent. Accidents can happen at any time, not to mention that boxing is a high-risk sport. The key is what to do after an accident. Although there are not many scenes of Biao's acting skills in the movie, they are all vividly shown by Uncle Fuyuki and Hilary Swank, which is enough. Not only did the word Oscar come to Nico's heart, but the stars present all thought of these three words. Good story plus good acting plus tragic ending, the people in the Academy like it the most. The main creative team came to the stage to thank them, everyone applauded, and some even whistled. Eric, I think it's dangerous. You really shouldn't have made this movie. What should La Vie en Rose? Nico sighed helplessly. She is also counting on La Vie en Rose to compete for another Oscar, and after being closed for the second time in a year, it is exciting to think about. Coupled with Eric's guaranteed Inception, which will definitely be a hit, commercial art blossoms both, and Nico's reputation will definitely rise to a new height. Be modest. I dare not say that it is comparable to the legendary level of Hepburn and Garbo. After all, it is an old-timer. But at least she has a bottom when she wrestles with Meryl Streep, who is faintly the #1 actress. Maybe I'm worse than you artistically, but I'm better than you in business. The two of us can also fight half a caddy. But after watching Million Dollar Baby, Hilary Swank's performance made her feel very crisis, and the opponent was too strong. Eric smiled and comforted. Even if I don't invest, there will be other companies to invest, and there are still some discerning bull in the market. And don't worry too much. Clint Eastwood is really strong, but Ron Howard is not weaker than him either. In terms of script, La Vie en Rose is a biopic, and it's also the college's favorite genre. And I've thought about your concerns a long time ago, so I've covered you with a layer of insurance. What? Nico asked curiously. Schedule. The schedule of La Vie en Rose is in December, which is the award month, and the screening will be postponed until the Oscars. No matter how good Million Dollar Baby is, after all, it is more than half a year before the Oscars, and the judge's impression is definitely not as deep as the just-released La Vie en Rose. At that time, the publicity resources will also be tilted towards you. As long as your acting skills are not problematic, I think there is a good chance of beating Hilary Swank. Nico's face showed joy, and she suddenly felt warm and sweet in her heart, and she only felt that her man was really caring. If it weren't for being in a public environment, he was surrounded by a group of warblers and swallows, and he really wanted to jump into his arms immediately. She glanced left and right, taking advantage of the fact that the attention around her was on the main creative team, tilted her head and whispered, "Come over at night and give you good things." What's good? Eric doesn't squint. You'll know when you come. Damn, I want to be Jean Go Iron Horseback then, swallowing thousands of miles like a tiger. It seems that tonight we must smuggle through Yinping and cross the sheep intestine trail to take Shuhan directly. At the end of the premiere, Eric said goodbye to a group of celebrities who came to cheer, and he couldn't help but be stained with countless fragrances. People are handsome and talented, and they are very crazy, not to mention that the little girl likes it, and the old ladies who are used to seeing handsome guys are not spared. Taking advantage of the opportunity to hug, these women scratched their palms and pinched soft flesh, and the heat in Eric's ears never stopped. Bold ones like Cameron Diaz took the initiative to send out an invitation to spend the night together. Several of these women were able to make it to Eric's list of in-depth relationships, but they had already agreed to Nico. I can only smile slightly. The main one does not nod or refuse, and it is still good to take a shot and taste it when I have time. Orlando Bloom, Hugh Jackman and others have not starred in MGM works, but they have seen more times and are more familiar with Eric. Ask him if he has any new projects, and the right role must be prioritized. Especially Hugh Jackman, he really wants to change his acting path, hoping to take on a literary film to test the water. Eric should inherit it. Although Hugh Jackman's most famous role is Wolverine, he is not shallow in the field of literary films, and he also has superb drama skills, and his comprehensive strength is very strong, and he belongs to the hexagonal warrior. It's just that Wolverine is so deeply rooted that the audience almost forgets about his other characters. It can be said that Chong is also a Wolverine, and he is not defeated when he is defeated. Was still dug up later, and won the Golden Globe Best Actor and Oscar nominations for Les Miserables. He is one of the few men who can handle both Hollywood and Broadway. Has a suitable role, and Eric doesn't mind showing Uncle Wolf's literary side to the audience in advance, and he really admires this man who has been married for 27 years and has zero scandals. I can't stand being hooked up, but people can sit still and not mess up, and the more scumbags are, the more I admire this kind of good man. Sent off Uncle Wolf and said goodbye to Mr. and Mrs. Pete, with her husband by her side. Jennifer Aniston naturally did not hug Eric. Jennifer, Marley and Me is almost finished. Well, although the filming speed of director David is a little slower, it should be completed in about half a month according to the process. Are you planning to release it this year? I think yes. I'm having a big fight with those people, and Marley and Me can be a surprise force, and I think the box office of the movie should surprise many people. Really? Jennifer Aniston has a Rachel-esque look of confusion, and last year the Emmy too agreed that MGM would then ask her to be the heroine. But after taking over the filming, Aniston found that this was a relatively warm love light comedy, but with pet elements. There are a lot of movies in the market which are not very novel, so she doesn't have much expectations for the box office. But if Eric Cooper said it, it would be a different story. He said that Transformers has 700 million, and in the end it didn't come true. Of course, I'm going to let Marley raid those guys, and better bite off their butts. Ha 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 ha. If the box office does explode, I have to think about how to thank you from now on. Jennifer has been working hard to transform, you know. Husband, Pete added. Everyone wants to break out of their comfort zone. Is Friends about to finale? Jennifer Aniston looked around and whispered, I can't leak it, but I can tell you that May 6th is the last episode. OMG, Eric sighed. As his favorite and non-existent American drama, as long as he catches up with it after coming to this world, he will still sit in front of the TV and watch it, because this feeling has never been experienced. It feels like a blink of an eye. Friends is coming to an end, and he has been in this world for 2 years. Do you have any arrangements after the TV series ends? Aniston shook her head. Not for the time being, but Matt has a solo drama, Joey. To be honest, we are all tired. We have played the same role for 10 years, and everyone is tired. So, you're planning to rest for the time being? Yes, at least for the time being. I have no plans to return to the small screen. I think a few of them also want to develop on the big screen. You don't want to get us together again. To be honest, I'm a big fan of Friends, and I like each and every one of you, and of course because I do, so I respect your decision even more. Pete rolled his eyes. I like it too. Ha 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 ha. Looking at the backs of the two leaving, who would have thought that the couple, who is now sweet, will be separated and finally divorced next year. Brad Pitt cheated on Angelina Jolie because of the filming of Mr. and Mrs. Smith, and the crew frantically refuted the rumors, but they still couldn't stop the paparazzi from penetrating. The golden boy and girl fell apart, and Brad Pitt and Angelina Jolie were scolded for more than 10 years, until their marriage also did not stand the test. From this, we can see the preciousness of Uncle Wolf, and those who can restrain their desires are very good. Late at night, Eric and Nico rolled together violently. Robert Zemeckis is at a super level, and The Polar Express is definitely one of the best animated movies I've ever seen, and there's no doubt that it's the best choice for the whole family to go to the cinema together. The Polar Express has unrivaled visuals, and for the first time in film history, motion capture and expression capture have been done together, and Robert Zemeckis and Tom Hanks have worked together perfectly again since Desert Island Aftermath. If you're not a Christian, then if you've seen The Polar Express, you'll think it's the best movie since the beginning of the year, where you'll find emotion, warmth, and it will make your heart beat. Million Dollar Baby is not well advertised. This is not an inspirational movie at all. All you can find in it is failure and pain. If you want to go to the cinema to relax, I recommend watching The Polar Express. Clint Eastwood, Hilary Swank, and Morgan Freeman are still excellent, but the script obviously needs more polishing. It's too bland, and it's a waste of the trio's acting skills. There's a bit too much gore in Million Dollar Baby, and that kind of gory display should be put on an R-rate. It's too cruel for teenagers. If you're having a good life, it's not recommended to watch Million Dollar Baby because that would make you feel lost. If you're having a bad life, it's also not recommended to watch Million Dollar Baby, as that will make you even more lost. As MGM and Warner launched a PK, major TV stations and newspaper media began to exert their efforts. Polar Express was praised wildly, and it gave beautiful words from various aspects such as technology, plot, and connotation, as if you missed the wonders of film history if you didn't watch it, which was a big loss in life. And for Million Dollar Baby, they are not hard and black, but find flaws from different angles, and advise the audience not to watch it in a way that I am for your good. Damn, how can there be a flawless movie in the world, and how can you find the angle of darkness if you want to? Eric can only use YouTube and Facebook to make positive publicity, but the overall effect is still weaker than the other party. Fortunately, Rotten Tomatoes and IMDb are not opponents, especially IMDb. The website uses a very complex algorithm, and it is not possible to swipe tickets if you want to. Only those who have logged in to IMDb for a certain number of days and have reached a certain time limit for commenting and watching movies are eligible for scoring. In short, there are many restrictions. That's why IMDb is considered the world's most authoritative movie rating website. Good is good, bad is bad, and the score is completely determined by the audience, especially now that IMDb is still in the stage of independent operation. In comparison, Dubon is much simpler. You can score by registering an account casually, and the final score of the movie is also a rough addition, subtraction, multiplication, and division, which is also one of the reasons for Dubon's authoritative conservative criticism. Million Dollar Baby, IMDb scored 8.3, and it stepped into a very good threshold with 1 foot. On the other hand, the score of Polar Express only reached 6.8 points, a difference of 1.5 points, which is already a gap between excellent and passing. Here the real evaluation of the movie comes out. One stripped of its perfect shell, the other endowed with an inspirational elegy. But after all, there is a gap in publicity, and all ages are more suitable for family viewing than PG-13, so after the box office was released in the first week. Million Dollar Baby grossed $38.5 million in 2,887 theaters, setting a record for the lowest-grossing film at MGM for a large-scale screening. The Polar Express grossed $59 million in 3,370 theaters, taking the top spot with a huge margin of $20.5 million. Following Fox's heavy loss in Game 1, Warner pulled one back. But did Warner really win? Did MGM really lose? Not necessarily, at least not in terms of stock prices. MGM's shares were still up 0.5%, but Warner's shares were not. Because the cost gap between the two movies is too big. Million Dollar Baby is $30 million and Polar Express is $165 million. And the prediction given by Box is that Million Dollar Baby will end up at $185 million and Polar Express will be $320 million, and it is clear who is really making money. New week, MGM building. Warren was reporting on the business status of AK Film and Television during this time, and Chun Shing-ho ran over in a hurry. Carol knocked on the door to report, and Warren stood up with interest. "You say it first. I'm not in a hurry." "What's wrong?" "Boss, something happened to the crew of The Walking Dead, and Bale Lavari is missing." "Boss, something happened to the crew of The Walking Dead, and Bale Lavari is missing," Chun Shing said anxiously. "Missing? What do you mean? Kidnapped?" Hearing this, Eric was shocked. Although the little girl Balafali is more snobbish, she was brought to the United States by Judy anyway, and Judy was appointed by herself. If something really happens, Eric will definitely be interrogated, and he will not be happy with his conscience. Chun Shing hurriedly explained, either she was kidnapped, or she disappeared, and she couldn't be found. The phone calls couldn't get through, the text messages didn't reply, there was no one at home, and the crew couldn't get in touch, so they notified us. "Where's her agent?" "I've looked for it, but the agent can't contact her. I'm looking for it." "What about her mother?" "Did you ask her mom?" "There's Godot, where Violet Lavari lives with Godot and Judy, with whom she also has a good relationship." "Not yet. Ball Leffley asked the crew for leave last week, and she is not feeling well and needs to rest for a few days." It just so happened that she didn't have many scenes in those days, so Darabont agreed to shoot other people's scenes first. And then, until Friday, it was time to shoot her scene, and Ball Lavari said that she would return to the crew on Monday, but she didn't see anyone on Monday. Darabont was angry at this unruly behavior, but he had to ask his agent to find someone. It's Wednesday today, and the person hasn't been found yet, and everyone is worried that something might happen to her. "I won't really be kidnapped." Eric's mind came up with Wu Ruafu, Karina Lau, Catherine Zeta-Jones, and others, and finally evolved into pictures such as John Lilong and Polanski's tragic death of his wife and children. Regardless of China and abroad, it is not uncommon for celebrities to be kidnapped, rich and famous, and the itinerary is easy to check. Although there will be serious public opinion pressure after being kidnapped, the high risk and high reward are still the target of many crazy kidnappers. But he thought about it. No, if it was really a kidnapping, the kidnappers should have contacted Balafali's mother or agent to ask for money. Even if you accidentally kill someone in the process, you will waste it and ask for money. It was also the first time for Eric to encounter this situation, and he couldn't help but feel a little confused. So he picked up his phone and called Godot. After a while, the phone was connected. "What's wrong with my dear? I was on the set, and my assistant saw your phone number just now and asked the director to answer it." "Godot, do you know where Leffley is? Have you seen her in the past 2 days?" "Leffley? No, not in the past few days. The last time I saw her seems to be last Tuesday or Wednesday. I can't remember clearly. What's wrong?" "She's missing, and a lot of people are looking for her." "What? Missing?" Godot exclaimed. Violet Lavari came to the United States with her, and the two were considered to be girlfriends, and they were immediately shocked when they heard the word missing. "What does it mean to be missing?" "I remember last week, she said what she was going to do." "Damn it, I can't remember." "Don't worry, think about it." After a while, Godot still didn't sound. "I'm sorry, dear, but I'll tell you as soon as I think about it. By the way, have you asked her mother?" Leffley had a close relationship with her mother, and she told her everything about it. "I just learned about it. You can film first, and tell me when you have an idea." "Balafali has been missing for at least 2 days. Why not contact her family? Why didn't you call the police?" Chun Shing hesitated and replied, "Darabont said that he also just knew, and this matter should be handled by Valle Lefeli's agent, as well as the Actors Guild. Her agent is still looking for someone until this morning, and Darabont really can't wait any longer, and the rest of the scene has to be done by Valle Fafali. He had to push the other party over and over again before the agent told the Drabant the truth, and we just found out. Shit. Are these guys all shit in their heads? Go contact that agent. What are they doing? Chen Xing rarely saw Eric get angry and hurriedly walked out of the office, regretting that he shouldn't have taken care of this. Click. The office door was closed, and there were no outsiders before Eric called Judy. At the moment, Judy's sexual orientation has not been fully disclosed, and everyone is only speculating that she has tendencies and is not suitable for others to know. Eric, what's the matter? You come to my office. It may take a little time. I'm out there talking about a script. It's brilliant, and you're going to be interested. Let's pause for a moment and ask you something. Do you know where Lefeli went? Yes, she's home. Israel. Yes, I left last week. I went back to visit my mother. What's wrong? Are you sure? I'm pretty sure. After the plane landed, Lefeli also told me that it was safe. I heard her mother's voice on the phone. There can't be a mistake, Eric. What are you asking all this for? What the hell is going on? The Walking Dead crew couldn't find anyone, and a lot of people were looking for her. What? Isn't she finished? How do you know? Says who? What Lefeli told me. She said that her role was finished and she hadn't been home for a long time, so she wanted to go back and rest for a while. Eric, I don't understand. You're saying that the film isn't over and that Lefeli is lying to me? For now, yes. Eric's mind crossed some thoughts, and suddenly he felt that something was wrong. Eric? Eric? I don't know. You finish the work first, and we'll meet again when we come back. Good. Hung up the phone, and a moment later Chen Xing walked in again. Boss, Ball Lefeli's agent contacted her mother, and her mother said she hadn't met Lefeli either. But one thing is more strange. It seems that Balafali's mother is not very anxious about this, and has not raised the idea of calling the police. Eric nodded, pulling out a pen and writing down what he knew. His brows became more and more furrowed, and looking at this information, he suddenly remembered a person in his mind, Xiangjiang actor Su Xiaoqiang. Su Xiaoqiang originally got the good resources of Yun Feiyang, the actor of Silkworm Transformation. This TV series was filmed by Li's TV station with a lot of effort, and it was an instant hit, and Su Xiaoqiang immediately became synonymous with heroes at that time. In order to fight against Li, Wireless enabled Zhang Xiaoqiu to shoot The Legend of Chu Liuxiang, but it was still inferior to Silkworm Transformation in ratings. Seeing that he couldn't win the head-on confrontation, Wireless turned his brain, privately found Su Xiaoqiang and stuffed a large sum of money and promised a bunch of benefits. Su Xiaoqiang just became popular, everyone floated, and he didn't resist the temptation to choose to collect money and disappear, so he hid. At that time, Silkworm Transformation used the same filming and broadcasting mode as American dramas, and the actor was suddenly unable to find it, and Li's TV station was about to go crazy. In the end, Gu Guanzhong could only be temporarily brought to the top, but the ratings inevitably decreased. And Su Xiaoqiang did not end well, and his untrustworthy behavior was spurned by the industry after it was exposed. Li's TV station swept him out of the house, and the benefits promised by Wireless such as the actor were not fulfilled, and the promising hero Yun Feiyang could only be reduced to taking on small supporting roles and villains to make a living, and he never got up again in his life. Now the sudden disappearance of Balafali is somewhat similar to Su Xiaoqiang's disappearance, especially when comparing Judy's information with Chen Xing's words just now. The whole thing immediately seems very strange. Eric tries to call Balafali, and it turns off. Call Drabant again. Eric, you already know about it. Well, Frank, do you know anything? I don't know. Valle Lefeli's performance in the crew is normal, and now she is a famous actor. The Walking Dead and House of Cards made her hot. She got more respect and no one was disrespectful to her. Eric, I can assure you that the crew has absolutely nothing to do with this matter and Balafali has not been wronged in any way. Don't excite Frank, I don't blame you, it's just a little headache, and some things can't be thought of clearly. Eric, but how do you solve the problem? Via Lavari was not there, the later scenes could not be filmed, and the crew came to a standstill. Taking a deep breath, Eric tapped the table lightly. How's it going? How many scenes does she have left? It's already half done, but the rest of the scenes are related to Bal Lefali. Everyone is waiting for her, and it's been delayed for days. Eric, I know you're waiting for the Walking Dead to be on the Lionheart, but it's a little bad. Is there a remedy? If she's not there, don't wait for her. You mean substitutions? Or kill the character? Drabant immediately understood. You can do it as you want. If you really can't help it, my suggestion is to let the character die. After all, Balafali has been filming for a while, and there will be conflicts between the characters before and after the replacement. Unless you want to make a makeup, it means that the whole show has to be reversed. Let Maggie die suddenly, what should Green do? Darabont snorted coldly. Eric, The Walking Dead is the end of the world, and there are not 1 or 2 people who died suddenly, so let her be killed by the governor. Then save a female character and form a pair with Green again to replace Maggie's role positioning. Of course, you also have to be mentally prepared. The first season of the survey reflected that the character of Maggie is still very popular with the audience, and her sudden departure may attract disgust and criticism from some viewers. Looks like you've been thinking about this for a long time. Knock knock. There was a knock on the door outside, and Judy rushed back. Frank, I'll think about it. Wait for my call. In the office, Judy asks what is going on with an anxious face, and when Eric tells her, she immediately pulls out her phone and calls Balafali, saying that it will be turned off. Then I called Bal Lefali's mother's phone, but it was still turned off. All of a sudden, Judy's whole body was not well. How? It's all turned off, it shouldn't be. We kept in touch the other day. How many days? Last Saturday, she said she was going to accompany her mother on a pilgrimage to Jerusalem, so we didn't contact each other again, and I didn't know anything about religion. Eric sighed and told his guests, and Judy's face became worse. But why? There's no reason for that. Why did Lefali do this? Because of desire, because of ambition, because of interests. Can it be because of a lot of things, Judy? Is the relationship between the two of you stable? Judy nodded. Although there will be occasional quarrels, I think it's good. So at least she's willing to tell you that she's back in Israel, and she hasn't said anything to anyone else, not even Godot. Saying this may ruin Balafali's image in your mind, but there is no need to hide it at this time. Judy, Balafali has tempted me many times, but I have rejected them. She is not as simple as you see. Hearing this, Judy's heart was shocked. With the relationship between the two, Eric had absolutely no reason to deceive himself, and the beautiful image in his heart was suddenly stained with a shadow. After walking back and forth a few times in some distraught, Judy looked up and said, Eric, give me some time. I'll go to Israel at once, and there will be an explanation for this. Eric nodded. The crew has been waiting for her for days, so at most until next Monday. If Vaye Falalai doesn't show up, she'll lose her role. I'm not just talking about the characters in The Walking Dead, but also the characters in House of Cards, and even MGM projects don't think about her anymore. Judy knows in her heart that Eric can still talk to her calmly now, and if she doesn't get angry, it's already for the sake of her own face, and the relationship between the two is hard enough. Otherwise, try it by another person, even if it is dug up by Ryan Reynolds and Chris Evans. You should get out of the house immediately. So she didn't plead anymore, let alone plead. If things really turned out to be as Eric expected, Judy's heart instantly decided she would send Balafali away with her own hands, just as she had brought her into Hollywood with her own hands. Let Darabont wait a few more days, and the matter will be kept quiet, and Eric's attention will be diverted to other aspects. The sniping of Million Dollar Baby continues on Saturday, with the relay of 20th Century Fox's blockbuster, The Day After Tomorrow. Directed by disaster film director Roland Emmerich, who is also the director of 2012, both of which are famous disaster masterpieces in film history. Compared with the director, starring Dennis Quaid, Jake Gyllenhaal, and Amy Rosen instead received less attention. Scientifically, the scenes envisioned in the film would never have been realized, but they were so good that Eric revisited them every year. Under the impact of such a blockbuster, Million Dollar Baby naturally suffered another impact. But in the same way, Polar Express is not good, and the impact is also very great, and no one wants to live anyway. Until the box office came out a week, The Day After Tomorrow won the championship without accident, winning $65 million at the box office, and the word-of-mouth ratio was also quite good. Million Dollar Baby won $21 million, and the excellent word of mouth caused the decline to be only 30%, which was lower than expected. Polar Express is directly worse than having, only earning $26 million, and I'm afraid that the box office forecast of $320 million will drop again. On Sunday, Judy hadn't returned, but Eric's face was gloomy. There are several magazines in front of him, and the covers are all of him and Godot. Female celebrities and entertainment company bigwigs get together. This kind of thing is a common thing whether it is Hollywood or the world. The audience knows, at most, ridiculing a sugar daddy may have some impact on female stars, but after a period of cold treatment, no one will mention it again. If the strength of female stars is strong enough, even the evaluation of sugar daddy will disappear, and everyone will only praise the golden boy and girl, male talent and female appearance. And for the big guys, the impact is even smaller, especially behind the scenes. The audience usually can't see you, so they naturally forget about it. Of course, the premise is that you don't mess around, such as a third-party meddling in someone else's marriage or getting involved with a bad female star. Once this kind of thing is exposed, it will not only affect the personal image, but also have a certain impact on the company, and many viewers will hate the House and the Black. A very obvious example is the British royal family. One of the reasons why Charles has never been recognized and why he has been sprayed is Princess Diana. In the office, Eric looked ugly at the stack of entertainment magazines on the table, the covers of which were almost all himself and Godot. Some are two people hugging each other, some are kissing, some are two people hugging each other and lying on the sofa watching TV, behaving very intimately. You can tell that they are lovers or lovers at a glance. There are many angles and poses, but without exception, they all have one thing in common, which is that they were taken indoors, in Godot's rental house. The photo has been exposed, but it can't be denied at will like before. Eric doesn't want to admit it, otherwise how can you explain it? Looking at the boss with a blue face, Carol no longer dared to say it usually, and said cautiously, "Boss, these magazines seem to have popped up overnight, filling the entire shelf, and not giving us time and opportunities for PR at all. And look at the environment. You should have been secretly photographed, which is very abnormal. Now not only the magazine is selling well, but there are also scandals about you and Godot on the internet. Is there a need for remediation? At least let the speed of online public opinion ferment be slower." Eric leaned back, thought about it for a moment and vetoed it, spending money to see if there was any hope of peace. This time, obviously not. It's useless. It's too late to say anything, and I know who's doing it. As he spoke, he took out a business card. "Contact Dan Jones. She is a capable private investigator. Let her investigate my surroundings carefully. I don't want stalkers around." "Understood, boss." After Carol went out, Eric slowly walked to the floor-to-ceiling windows, looking at the crowd of cars below, and couldn't help but fall into deep thought. There is no doubt that it must be the big six who are behind it, and they will do everything they can to disgust Eric and make Eric uncomfortable. This kind of lace news may not have a substantial impact on business, box office, and stock price, but as long as you are uncomfortable, I am comfortable, at least it can tie up a lot of Eric's mind, and it is also useful. And the person who can take these indoor photos is most likely not a paparazzi or a detective. He is very careful every time he goes on a date with Godot, making sure that no one is following him unless someone knows how to stealth through the wall, perspective, and other special functions. Excluding the paparazzi and detectives, there are only two suspects left. Godot has always been very obedient, and Eric has always been in charge of the two of them, and she has long been accustomed to following the arrangement. And she didn't have the scheming and guts. Eric was 100% sure she didn't do it. Then there is only one suspect left, Ball Leffley. This girl is also deliberately playing missing. Everything is right. Fuck you. I'm still worried about whether you've been kidnapped. After scolding, Eric had a headache, and he could already imagine the reaction of the other women after seeing the photo. It must be thunderous. It is estimated that the call will come soon. How to deal with it is a troublesome matter, a big trouble. Besides, I haven't adjusted their relationship yet. At least another year and a half. It's pretty much the same. Suzu was on fire, and sure enough, the phone screamed. With his heart pounding, Eric walked over to the desk. Even if he was reluctant, he looked over, only to see two big words on it. It turned out to be Dad. Okay, in addition to women, there is also a family to pass. He complained about himself, and he could only answer the phone. Son, I got the news. You seem to have caused yourself trouble. On the phone, my dad chuckled a little teasingly. Eric rolled his eyes, and the dead old man was still looking at the joke. Okay, Dad, what do you want to say? I'm annoyed right now, and if you're going to laugh at me, hang up. Don't hang up the phone in a hurry. Isn't it just that the relationship has been exposed? What's there to worry about? You're a young lad. Gal Gadot is a pretty girl, and you two look like a good match, unless you don't want anyone else to know about your relationship. And why don't you want others to know? I think it's probably because you have other girlfriends. Boring detective game. Bye-bye. Wait, Eric. Okay, no kidding you. You want to solve the problem, don't you? Then it's better to listen to the opinions of those who have come before. Eric immediately stopped pressing his fingers. Dear Dad, please help your son. Huh. Tell me, how many women are you dating at the same time? Eric thought about it in his heart, and Godot, Nico, Theron, Ashley, and Mary must have counted. Luciali, Elena, and Joe Winchiome can only be regarded as friends. Louis Fay and Elizabeth are young and haven't started yet, and reserve talents can't be counted. Count 5. 5. A shrill cheer suddenly rang out on the phone, obviously from my mother. It's not good, I'm being tricked. Eric cursed and hung up immediately. What is going on? I'm upset. My dad not only doesn't help me, but also helps my mom to trick herself together. I'm really speechless. With her mother's temperament, she had an affair with Nico last year, and she told herself for a long time, and this time she knew that he had 5 girlfriends, and she still fainted. No, calm down, there will definitely be a way. I'm a billionaire. It's a big deal if I use money to smash. Who doesn't love money? Then Eric pinched himself. What kind of idea? It's good for ordinary women to use money. The problem is that they don't seem to be short of money. Even Godot, who is the poorest, with her current fame, it is not easy to make money. The richest Ashley and Mary, with the current value of Double Star Entertainment, both have a net worth of more than $500 million, and it will continue to grow. There is a tenfold difference between $1 and $10, but there is no difference between 100 million and 1 billion, because they can't be spent. And it's too insulting to smash it with money. It's simply an insult to feelings. Eric has feelings for all five of them, and the five of them do the same for Eric, and money is not everything at this time. Suzu. The phone called, and sure enough, it was my mother's. Mom, I'm busy dealing with the company's affairs. Can I explain everything when I get home? Eric gags his mother's mouth first. Well, then I'll wait for you. As soon as he hung up the phone, and before he had stopped for 2 minutes, there was another knock on the door outside. Who? Eric yelled with some exasperation. Click. Judy pushed the door open and walked in. Her face was very bad. Her eyes were bloodshot. Her clothes were a little dirty, and there was a foul smell on her body, and she looked like she hadn't rested in days. Judy, what's going on? You don't look good. Eric looked at her with some concern. Glancing at the magazines on the table, Judy's voice was a little hoarse. I just flew back from Israel, and I already know about it. Don't worry, Eric. I'm not here to intercede. I'm not a fool. Balafali is a traitor. Not only did she betray MGM, but she betrayed me as well. I looked for her for 5 days and made countless phone calls, but to no avail. I'm sorry, it's all my fault. I shouldn't have brought her here in the first place. It's all my fault. Alas. Sighing, Eric stood up and walked over to take Judy in his arms, gently patting her on the back. In the 4 years of college, Judy was the most diligent in changing girlfriends, but since she found Balafali, she has become single-minded because she really thinks she has found love. But it is clear that the so-called love is just Judy's wishful thinking. Whoever is tempted will be hurt, and it seems that she was not lightly injured this time. Forget it, don't say it. Love can make people blind, and I don't blame you. Look at your current appearance. You don't have your usual high-spirited appearance at all. Go back and take a good shower and sleep first, and then talk about other things when you wake up. But the more generous Eric became, the more uncomfortable Judy became. She said with a cold gaze, I don't care if she leaves, but she shouldn't do it. She's hurting my friend. Eric, I promise you that you will find Lafali and make her pay. Looking at Judy's gloomy appearance, Eric was a little worried. Don't mess around. Even if you find someone, don't be impulsive. Especially don't use violence. Although you are the best of the 5 of us, we all have the law on our heads. Don't hurt yourself. Judy scoffed. What do you say? Do I look like a fool? Besides, what's the use of beating her up? Maybe I'll have to pay her a sum of money. Huh. It's best if you think like this. Go home and rest first, and then come back to see me when you're refreshed. Walking to the door, Judy suddenly turned her head again and said, Eric, Balafali is no longer my girlfriend. You can do whatever you want. Eric smiled. Just wait for your words. Soon, MGM issued a statement. Due to Balafali's long absence from filming for no reason, and the failure to ask the crew for leave, the filming schedule of The Walking Dead was seriously delayed. His actions violated the spirit of the contract and were unilateral breaches. Therefore, after careful consideration, MGM has decided to terminate all working relations with Balafali in accordance with the terms of the contract and to claim compensation for the losses caused by its breach of contract. For this kind of actor who has no faith, MGM will not have any work exchanges with him in the future, and I hope that the actors' union can deal with it from a fair standpoint. After this statement was issued, it quickly sparked a wide discussion, and it was associated with the scandal between Eric and Godot. What's going on? Was Valle Lavari banned by MGM? What about Maggie? I love Maggie. Valle Lavari turned out to be this kind of actor, and his character is too bad. Really? Valle Lavari is so beautiful. She certainly wouldn't do it. This is just a unilateral statement by MGM, and it may not be credible. I seem to understand that Beryl Lafali and Gal Gadot are roommates, and those interior photos of Eric Cooper and Gal Gadot should not be exposed by Bar Lefalat. It has been identified that it was Bar Leffley who exposed the scandal, so she angered Eric Cooper, and everything was an excuse because she provoked someone who shouldn't be messed with. I don't care about gossip, I just want to know what to do with House of Cards. What to do with The Walking Dead. How is the character of Bar Leffley handled? Netizens. Eat melons online. On the one hand, there are wonderful confrontations on the big screen, and on the other hand, the gossip in the real world is flying all over the sky, which is really interesting. And the reason why Eric wants to make a statement, in addition to making Bar Leffley stink, the most important thing is to force her to show up. This Stinky doesn't know where to hide, and she doesn't know if she still has something else in her hands, so she has to be forced out quickly. It proved to work, and not long after MGM's statement was issued, a video went viral. Or more accurately, a rebellious passage. In the picture, Valleyberry has a sad and angry face and looks like he has been greatly wronged. I have been treated unfairly, both in life and at work, she said in a heavy tone. Gal Gadot is a cocky and arrogant man, and when we came to Hollywood together to pursue our dreams, we were just new at that time and we had a good relationship. But everything has changed since she was with Eric Cooper and became the heroine of Transformers. By the way, I remember that they were together for a very long time when Gal Gadot was not yet an adult. Since then, she is no longer like a friend, but more like a slave owner, and I am the one who is oppressed, and I serve by her side like a servant. If I don't listen to orders, she will let the man exercise his privilege, and I will be fired immediately, and I will lose the role and fame that I have won so hard. It's a painful experience. I really can't take it anymore. I really can't stand the privileged class anymore. Why do I have to suffer unfair treatment when we are all human beings? Yes, I did leave the Walking Dead crew without taking leave, but that's because I couldn't take it anymore. I was about to break down, and the laughter of the two of them haunted me like a nightmare, keeping me awake from sleep, and everything was so painful. Even if I am expelled, even if I will be claimed, I will stand up, I will speak out, because I have to defend my dignity. Honey, you know me, and I definitely won't do such a thing without your consent. Of course, baby. I trust you 100%, and I've confirmed that Balafali is the betrayer. I'm afraid yes, Eric, I don't understand why she would do such a thing. Everything is so unreasonable. She has got so many good opportunities. She is a rising star. How many people can make their debut, and they will have masterpieces? Even those legendary actors, those Oscar-winning actresses have to run for a long time. Valleyberry is simply crazy. Honey, I have to apologize to you. In fact, I should have followed your advice to move a long time ago, and if I don't live with her, maybe nothing will happen, sorry. After the release of Transformers, Gadot already had a lot of fame, and Eric offered to let her move out and be invisible neighbors with Theron and Nico. But with Bar Leffley's worth at the time, he definitely couldn't afford to buy a house. So in order to take care of his girlfriend's emotions, Gadot decided to wrong himself again and still shared a house with the other party. But the more the dog bites Lu Dongbin, the more she does this, the more it makes Balafali feel like she is giving alms. Don't apologize as long as you want to do bad things. Even if you move out, it's useless. She can still find countless reasons. This is a very jealous woman. If she comes to you again and you want to take advantage of your kindness, don't pay attention. I know. I can't wait to scold this bitch right now and slap her twice. Dear, will it have a bad effect on you? If it affects you, I can take a leave of absence for a while. Eric warmed his heart. Look at what a good girl. Always think about himself. Of course, the reason why she was able to say these words, Eric thought it was probably because she didn't know about the existence of several other women. Otherwise, it is likely not to warm the heart, but to pierce the heart. Are you done filming? It's probably going to be over in a month. It's been so long. Forget it, you can film with peace of mind. Work is always the most important. Don't forget that it will be released this year. Well, how about having dinner together at noon? No, noon. I made an appointment with my mother, and I have to go home. Okay. By the way, baby, don't live where you are now. Find a hotel or a friend, so as not to be harassed by the paparazzi, and I will change a house for you when you find time. Well, it's all up to you. I looked at my phone, and it was morning, and no woman took the initiative to call. Nico and Theron may be filming and don't know yet, but Ashley and Mary haven't taken over recently. Double Star Entertainment shouldn't be so busy, and the two haven't moved. It's not normal, it's so abnormal. Things are done one by one. Eric plans to go home first to settle his parents, so that they don't make any more trouble for himself, and he is also his own son no matter what he says. As the man and woman who love themselves in the world, even if they kill someone, they will definitely defend themselves in the end. What's more, he can only be regarded as a scumbag at best, and he has not yet reached the point of breaking the law, so it's a big deal to go back and be scolded. What legal morality, in the end, in the face of family affection, will disappear? Bite. The elevator came to the first floor, and Eric was ready to leave. Boss, wait a minute. Suddenly, Carol's eager voice came from behind, and when she looked back, she ran over quickly with two big boobs. On his forehead is a dense layer of thin man. One hand is holding his waist, his chest is rising and falling violently, and the person is also panting with difficulty. Carol, you're not going to run down the stairs, are you? Carol nodded, swallowed a mouthful of saliva before said with difficulty, Boss, don't go out. There must be a lot of reporters hiding outside now. They want to catch you. Huh? What the? Via Lavari showed up and she said a lot of bad things, and you should look at TV and the internet. Eric's face changed, and the two hurried to the lounge. Turn on the computer, and sure enough, videos of Balafali are hanging on influential portals such as AOL and Yahoo. Rising TV star Balavari responds to MGM's ban announcement. Suddenly, the truth about the banning of Balafali, the unknown side of Eric Cooper and Gal Gadot. Girlfriends turn enemies. Gal Gadot and Valle Favory have a deep grudge. The well-known Hollywood actor Barlavari will unravel the unknown darkness in the circle for you. Balafali's Ryback, the blockade incident fell into Rashomon, and it is difficult to distinguish between the true and false of the two sides. After watching the video, Eric's face turned blue, and he punched the sofa angrily. Lies, fucking all lies. This bitch, fucking stinky bitch. Yahoo is also a bunch of bastards. Lao Tzu contributes so much money to you. Pure milk is a mother. Carol's face was solemn. Boss, this must have been premeditated. We just issued a ban statement, and in less than half an hour, the video flowed out like a flood. It's the same routine as those magazines. Everything is a well-made plan, and we don't have time to react to PR at all. And Facebook, YouTube, and MySpace, and even our own positions have been invaded. Eric landed on Facebook again, and after two big hits, Beryl Leffely's account amassed more than 1 million followers. Her latest update is indeed a sad and angry photo, with a small essay and a link underneath, accusing Eric and Gadot of their evil deeds. The news has only been released for more than 10 minutes, and the following comments have reached thousands of comments, and many users are scolding them with righteous indignation. I feel sorry for Lafaferi. She is so pitiful. No wonder Gal Gadot can get a good resource like Transformers. It turns out to be a sugar daddy, and it is Eric Cooper who is praising her, an ugly woman. Leffely is much prettier than Gal Gadot, that disgusting woman. I didn't think she was a good person at first sight. This pair of dog men and women is so disgusting. I would have loved Eric Cooper's movie, but I didn't expect him's a big scumbag. See, girls? That's the reality in Hollywood, where there are a lot of people like Eric Cooper, and their heads are full of defenses. Leffely is so pitiful, how much pain and pressure she has to endure to be willing to say everything. To support Balafali, We must oppose privilege. We must fight privilege. I will go to Gal Gadot's account and scold her. I noticed a point. When Eric Cooper and Gal Gadot were in love, that wicked woman was not yet an adult, which means that Eric Cooper was violating minors, right? Gal Gadot was 17 years old at the time, and it is true that he is a minor according to the law, but who knows if they did? Anyone thinks this dog guy doesn't have fun, and I bet Eric Cooper must have fucked that bitch a long time ago, so he committed a crime. Wait, I think everyone should be sober. Now the two sides are completely their own words. Don't be led to rhythm and emotion. Whether what Valle Lavari said is the truth remains to be verified. Found a dog washing the floor. One is a pitiful girl with no background, and the other is an entertainment boss who holds the power of life and death. Isn't it clear who is right and who is wrong? Is this still in doubt? I searched on YouTube again, and dozens of pages of related videos immediately popped up. Fortunately, YouTube and Facebook have different operating mechanisms, and there are no big-up masters on YouTube to post videos, and only some accounts with low followers have limited influence. Even if 100 trumpets make videos at the same time, it is not as influential and disseminated as a video with 1 million followers. And at present, there are only 2up owners with hundreds of thousands of fans on YouTube, and the video has just been released, and it has not yet set off a big storm. Take a deep breath and deal with Lao Tzu in Lao Tzu's territory. You really have a kind. I can't handle my space, but if Facebook and YouTube can turn you upside down, I'll sell sweet potatoes. Eric immediately called Heisenberg. Fitz, Facebook is a bit messy. Haven't you noticed the supervision in the background? Fitzsatzenberg hurriedly explained, Boss, we are discussing how to deal with the matter of Balafali, and I was about to ask you for instructions, but I didn't expect you to call first. Okay, don't talk nonsense. Block her account. Huh? Directly sealed? Sealed. Is there a problem? No, of course not. It's just that Beryl Lavari also has millions of fans. She is not an ordinary person. Will the direct ban cause a more fierce public opinion backlash? Yes, but I don't care. I have to cut through the mess at this time. Fitz, I don't care about the chaos outside, but as long as it's on Facebook's turf, I'll have the final say, understand? I don't want to see the noise, except for Balafali, and the active tongue-chewing and swearing all sealed. Okay, boss, I know what to do. Then Eric called Howard Hughes again, and since the 2up masters who happened to be bad at money had no eyesight, they were all banned. There are many vloggers on YouTube who want to come out, and if they block too, many people of the same type will applaud instead. Is also to give these influential self-media an eye. If you dare to eat my rice and smash my pot, I will smash your job. What's more, there is no other YouTube-like software on the market, and the development of video websites is much more difficult than that of social networking sites. The network speed is also a big stuck point, and now the circle still doesn't understand why the network speed of YouTube and Lionheart is so fast, much higher than the market average. By the time those guys find the key and really develop the contenders, it's going to be at least a year away. I monopolize, I am invincible. Whoever dares to disobey will get out. Even if you can deal with the instability of Facebook and YouTube, there is nothing Eric can do about the biggest threat, which comes from TV and newspapers. Carol turned on the TV and casually jumped to Fox's entertainment channel. I saw that the host was broadcasting this matter seriously, but his position was completely biased towards Valle Lavari. MGM president and super-rich Eric Cooper was exposed to a scandal and relied on power to bully female star Bar Lavari. As a Hollywood upstart, as a benchmark for young idols, Eric Cooper should have made a good image for young people. But the truth is the opposite. Instead of doing it, he showed the characteristics of a gentleman and did very despicable things. For Eric Cooper, it's easy to ban a star, but it also means that he kills a girl's efforts and dreams. We don't just have to ask, is this really the right thing to do? Can power be abused? Fox pointed the finger at Eric himself, and other channels also agreed to report on the incident at the same time. Even ABC is the most excessive. They have invited 2 professors in a legal program and then directly discussed Eric and Godot. Damn, it's only been a long time since the incident broke out. You have even found the guests, and the show seems to have been recorded in advance. This is not going to be acted, and it is bound to crush Eric to death with strong public opinion pressure. Professor Tridy, what do you think of the relationship between Eric Cooper and Gal Gadot and whether it broke the law? I think it should be discussed on a case-by-case basis. Gal Gadot was indeed a minor at that time, so the key is whether the two had a relationship. If there is a relationship, Gal Gadot is 17 years old, Eric Cooper is 21 years old, and he is more than 3 years old, and it also constitutes an exploitative power relationship at work. Then, even if Gal Gadot is voluntary, according to the regulations, Eric Cooper still violates the law. And if the two don't have a relationship, then it's more difficult to define. Even if you don't have a relationship, I think it can be found to be indecency. Another female professor added. Watching the discussion on the show, Carol looked cautiously at Eric. Eric glanced at her. I had sex with Godot on her 18th birthday. Don't look at me like that. Of course, boss, of course I don't suspect you, and these guys are obviously deliberately picking on trouble. The average age of breaking for girls in the United States is more than 15 years old, and how many of them are legal? What's more, this is Hollywood, the worst place in the world, and everybody knows what's going on here. Eric nodded. He knew that the Big Six were deliberately finding fault. Even if it was a law that no one followed, it was the law, and it was the best excuse when it was needed. In particular, Eric and Godot are both public figures, and the flaws will be infinitely magnified. Even if the judiciary does not want to take care of it, it will have to be managed when the time comes, due to the huge pressure of public opinion. Moreover, the Sixth National Congress is obviously taking advantage of the public's hatred of the rich and portraying Valleyberry as a weakling, and people will naturally sympathize with the weak. Damn. This time, he was really repaid by the other way. Eric scolded angrily. He only used public opinion to force Sony to compromise last year, but he didn't expect that now the Sixth National Congress will give himself a countermeasure. The difference is only in the fact that my buckle is a fact, but Valleyberry is a fabrication. But I know that it is fabricated and there is a fart. The key is whether everyone believes it or not. Especially MGM wants to ban her. Everything is designed, and she has long fallen into the trap. By the way, and Godot, I'm afraid I really need to hide for a few days this time. Sent a message to Godot, telling her to protect herself. Boss, what are we going to do? Carol asked worriedly. Don't mess around. Let me think about it. There will be a way. You contact those websites first to see if you can press it, and then prepare to issue a clarification announcement, and I also have to give an interview. And go all out to find Ball Leffley. This stinky bitch is the key. After the arrangement, Eric quietly left through the private passageway, and the front and back doors were surrounded by paparazzi. He had to go home and talk to his father. Maybe the old man would have a way. At least he had more connections. Eric shook his legs unconsciously, his head thinking about how to deal with this catastrophe. With their own behavior of digging people's ancestral graves and digging up people's roots, the 6 major congresses and various television stations will not stop without putting themselves to death. Now public opinion has just risen, but it is conceivable that in 3 days, he will definitely be pushed into the whirlpool of public opinion, and he will be unlucky with MGM and Lionheart. Fuck, you're ruthless. If you don't make a move, you will die. Pete glanced in the rearview mirror. Boss, is it really that serious? Seeing that Eric was silent, he said again, Boss, think about it differently. Since they have framed us, we don't have to talk about the rules. Well, what do you mean? Pete raised his right hand and made a gesture of a gun to his temple. Just a shock, and a lot of things will be solved. No way. Eric vetoed it without even thinking about it. What are you kidding? It is 100 to deal with ordinary people and even elite white-collar workers who have some ability, and they will collapse with one shot. But when the opponent is on the same level as you, playing the physical elimination set is purely looking for death. You can kill one, kill two, but you can't kill everyone at once. In turn, people can kill you and your family and friends, and there are no winners in this dangerous game. During the Cold War, the United States and Russia deployed nuclear bombs to threaten each other, and in the end, Nixon and Khrushchev completely dismantled and withdrew their troops. Fight to the best. Even if MGM and Lionheart collapse, they still have YouTube and Facebook. After a few years of development, it can still make a comeback. But if you are shot one day while walking on the road, do you say that you are wronged? Bell. The private phone rang suddenly, and Eric looked down to see that it was Judy calling. OMG. Eric, I had just been asleep for half an hour when I woke up from a nightmare. Watching the news? Look, it's a very bad situation. It's all that bitch who caused it. I really regret bringing her to Hollywood in the first place. I'm sorry. What's the use of talking about this now? The top priority is to find Balafari quickly. You don't care about the company's affairs recently, and do your best to find her. I know what to do, and I made this call to reassure you. Huh. Eric froze for a moment, not understanding what Judy was talking about. Eric, I have to take a few days off. Give me a week, and I will definitely give you a satisfactory explanation. What? Wait. What the hell are you talking about? I know the company is going through a difficult time right now, but I hope you must hold on, at least for a week, and then I will talk about it when I come back, and I will solve the problems I have caused myself. Judy, what are you going to do? Make the words clear. I can't say it for the time being. Anyway, wait for my good news. Judy Newhouse. Eric yelled, but the other side had already hung up. He patted his head with a headache. What the hell? It's all at this time and you're still adding to the chaos. Don't you think you're not annoyed enough? What Balafari did was indeed inseparable from Judy, but even without her, the Big Six would have found someone else and couldn't hide. After the annoyance, Eric couldn't help but worry about what the guy wanted to do. Among the five of them, Judy is the most capable of fighting, but she is also the most rigid in character. Eric glanced at Pete, genuinely worried that the chick would do something impulsive. She may not be able to find Balafari, but she knows exactly where the headquarters of the 6 major companies and television stations are, and she knows what the heads of each house look like. If you suddenly attack the other party with a submachine gun, not only will you not be able to solve the problem, but you will also add fuel to the fire and cause irreversible harm. Eric hurriedly sent her a message to persuade her not to be impulsive. Judy replied that she would not be impulsive and asked him to rest assured. But Eric couldn't be reassured and asked Billy to go to her house and keep an eye on the mess. Beverly Hills, Cooper's house. Seeing the car coming, the reporters who had been squatting around for a long time rushed out, hoping to block Eric. But Lincoln's sedan went straight into the yard, and they had no choice but to continue to squat on private territory. In the living room, the little nanny Lisa flashed away after bringing coffee, and Eric sat facing his parents. "Young man, you're in big trouble this time," Dad said worriedly. Eric shrugged helplessly. "I'm not afraid of normal business competition, but I didn't expect them to use such indiscriminate means." "It's indiscriminate but effective enough, and you look like you're overwhelmed because the other side has the power to speak in the mainstream media, just like you did with Sony back then." Eric rolled his eyes. "Dad, now is not the time to make fun of me. I just came back to discuss with you if there is a good way to get through this difficult time. The best way is to admit defeat. If you can't pull your face, I can come forward to intercede with those old guys for you, and you can exchange peace by giving up some of your benefits." "Let me throw in the towel? Are you kidding?"
Impossible. Impossible.
Eric was straightforward. "Are you going to fight them to the end?"
Ne va dit?
"Yes, Those guys can take a break if they want, but unless I'm dead, I won't compromise. Not only do I want to get back the glory of MGM, but I also want to get back all the copyrights that I lost, and you see the company's development. Dad, we have a great situation. The market recognizes this new model, and Lionheart represents the future development direction of the film and television industry. Now that we have the remote control to the future, are you willing to throw it away? Son, you look like Musk, the Iron Man of Silicon Valley, who is like a madman who wants to build rockets and launch satellites, and then attracts countless ridicule. Eric smiled. Yes, but you know why Musk drew ridicule and might an attack? Because his plan may not come true, and my plan is already on the way to realization. Those guys are afraid. Because I'm afraid, I'm anxious. And because I'm anxious, that's why I'll be framed. Dad suddenly smiled. That's right, you can always see the shadow of blood boiling from you. This feeling is really good. Then let our two old guys help you. Huh? Mom can help me too? Eric frowned. Eric, don't look down on anyone. You don't know your mother, at least not when she was young. Let's do a review first. Review what? Look at what difficulties you're facing right now and how many cards you have to play. Eric nodded. Isn't it the pressure of public opinion now? I can't find Balafari. It's difficult to clarify this matter. That's the only one? What? What about your 5 girlfriends? They? I haven't figured it out yet, so I'm going to have to get through the company first. Dad looked at Mom. Young people still need to learn more, and you need to consult your mother in this regard. Huh? Eric became more and more incomprehensible. Mom glared at Eric. My brother is a bastard, and my brother is a bastard, so I know you two are not fuel-efficient lamps. Some time ago, we went to visit Joshua, and then we found out that he was dating 3 girls at the same time, and your mother was very angry and scolded him. Dad explained. And this kind of thing, why don't you tell me and make me happy and happy? Eric laughed, like a scumbag who knew that someone else had also scored 0. What's there to be happy about? The 3 girls also knew about each other's existence, and then they fought. They beat Joshua up? Sort of. First of all, Joshua, who was beaten by 3 people, had a blue nose and swollen face, and his legs were all discounted. Eric gasped. No, this is too ruthless. Then Joshua will only have to adopt children in the future. Dad was speechless. When is it? Still telling such a bad joke. It's a broken right leg. Oh, it's okay. Then the 3 girls began to feel sorry for Joshua again, and everyone wanted to be with him, and the 3 of them fought each other, and finally the 4 of them were admitted to the hospital together. Joshua is so powerful. Is he a succubus? I'm going crazy to be quarreled by 3 girls, but your brother, a bastard, doesn't want to give up, and he's still dreaming of a harmonious life for the 4. Then he was beaten again, this time with a broken left leg and completely unable to move. Emily is distressed. Although Joshua is a bastard, she is also a bastard of her mother, and she can't see that your brother suffers this sin. There's no way. Your dear mother can only take action herself and help Joshua settle those 3 girls. Persuaded them away? Dad was silent for a moment. No. It's the 4 of them together, and now the 3 of them take care of Joshua every day, and they can already get out of bed and walk. What? Eric's voice instantly rose an octave, and then he looked at his mother in disbelief. The old mother sighed. If it weren't for the fear that Joshua would be killed, I wouldn't have helped him. Lord, I'm guilty. Eric has a black question mark on his face. What's going on today? It seems that everything has subverted his 3 views and cognition. Dad patted him on the shoulder. Son, I know you are very confused. Like I just said, you don't know your mother's past. When we were young, do you know what period it was? Hippies. Eric thought for a moment and tried to answer. That's right, in the era of hippies, young people were crazy, everyone was chasing mavericks, pursuing liberation movements. Drugs, madness, heavy metal, rock, tattoos, rivets. Young people are infecting each other, spreading these cultures like a virus, and no one is immune, including the two of us. At that time, Emily was a well-known love master, singing, dancing, doodling, hanging out in bars and nights, hanging out on the streets with a group of boys. Honey, how many lads did you have dating at the same time? My mother sighed, a little embarrassed. There is no need to tell Eric the details. I was really rebellious at that time and did a lot of things that violated the world. But luckily I woke up and was taken to the hospital by a passing pastor when I almost died on the street because of drugs. I was lucky enough to pick up a small life. Death is always more visible, and I have become a believer ever since. Then I married your dad, and then I had you two little bastards. Eric was stunned as he listened to the two of them tell stories about the past, but he didn't expect that a very pious old mother turned out to be a little sister. Is not only a little sister, but also a queen of the sea. Looking at her unspeakable appearance, I'm afraid that the number of boyfriends is indispensable. Joshua is only 3, and he only said 5. Maybe he hasn't caught up with a fraction of his mother's brilliant record. Ha 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 ha. It seems that we run in families. Eric laughed. I think you're trying to get beaten, young man, Mom said angrily. Eric hurriedly leaned over and hugged her, rubbing around on each other like a kitten. Mother, my favorite good mother, how can you bear to see your beloved little son suffer, and now he needs your help? The mother pushed Eric away in disgust. Now is the critical moment. I help you so as not to let them affect your career, but also to avoid new scandals. Some women do everything because of love and hatred. One Balafari will make you anxious, and another one will come out to see if you can still handle it. Okay, who are these 5 women? What are their personalities? Do you know each other? How's the relationship? Is there a contradiction? And the family environment, the level of dependence on you, the level of intimacy between you. Mom asked a bunch of questions, and instead of feeling tedious, Eric felt relieved.
Nah.
That's professionalism. Mom, I know you might be surprised when you hear the name, but please don't be surprised. We're here to solve the problem. Gal Gadot, you already know, and then there's Charlize Theron, the one who just won the Oscar this year. Do you have an impression? Mom nodded. She also watched the awards ceremony, and Dad secretly gave a thumbs up, as if to say, son, you really have vision. The third one is Nicole Kidman. Who? Mom's eyes widened instantly. Nicole Kidman, you know, she doesn't often deliver things to our house, and that ostrich meat is said to be delicious. OMG. So she approached me all of a sudden for this, and we often went to church together for services. No wonder she always mentions you, intentionally or unintentionally, and now I finally understand.